Was that your first show?
That you were on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah, and both times you've been on twice, and both times you came up the right way, those stairs. But this time,
That's how I was talking. I was talking to Claire.
that's cool. So the book. Let me just start with the book. Leaked. It's kind of like a rap album. It leaked.
Yeah.
What happened?
It's actually nothing like a rap album. About a couple weeks ago, BarnesandNoble.com accidentally leaked about 1,500 copies of the book to people who'd pre-ordered it, and then did not apologize.
To you mean a personal apology?
No, just generally.
Generally. So the book gets out there, and now you go online because you do these videos of many with your brother, and you go on a rant about please, no spoilers, don't, because I want everybody to enjoy it at the same time. So now here I am interviewing you about the book, and I don't know what the hell to say. Can you?
No, you should feel free to discuss anything within the first 70 pages.
Well, let me so I'm safe. Give me how you talk about the book.
It's about 300 pages long. The Fault in Our Stars is a book about two kids, Hazel and Augustus, who meet at a support group for kids who have cancer, and they end up kind of sharing a love for this novel that was written about 15 years ago called An Imperial Affliction, and they really want to meet the author, who now is kind of a recluse living in Amsterdam.
See, I didn't know I could give up that part.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, that's fine. He lives in Amsterdam.
No.
I lived in Amsterdam for a few months while I was writing the book, so like a lot of people have put that together.
How did you? So you were doing research, but that seems like a bad place to get work done.
Every morning at 7:30, I would walk past the red light district on the way to the Central Library, where I would work all day, and like the 7:30 a.m. Tuesday morning prostitutes.
Sure.
It's really a niche-based thing. It's a very specific, morbidly obese Trinidadian or
7:30 a Tuesday, you say?
7:30, yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Gino will find something to like too, so you'll both be fine.
The book. Now Hazel, she has. They both have very different kinds of cancer. Augustus has a kind of cancer that seems to have gone away.
Yeah, Gus's cancer is curable. Osteosarcoma, the kind of cancer that he has about, if the surgery is successful, has about an 85% cure rate. And Hazel, from the time of her diagnosis, she was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer that's metastasized into her lungs, which is not curable.
But she's on a drug, which I take it doesn't exist in real life.
Yeah, bummer.
But which, in this case, is keeping her going.
Yeah, it's based on Herceptin, the breast cancer drug. There's this breast cancer drug, Herceptin, that can control tumor growth in certain kinds of breast cancers, and so I kind of invented that for Hazel's kind of cancer.
Now, I don't know if I'm reaching here, but it seems like when you set up a book with characters, with young people who have cancer, one of which is terminal, you're setting up two scenarios. One in which these characters have to deal with all of the things that any person, any teenager has to deal with, or any person has to deal with, questions of love, questions of friendship, questions of loneliness. At the same time, they're also dealing with the cancer.
Yeah.
How did you deal with those two tensions? I mean, the characters are going through two significant things, not unrelated, but they're two things that are they're in different strands. Like, I don't know if I'm making sense.
Yeah,
there.
but whenever you're a teenager, like, you can't. So whatever your situation is, you can't not be that. So they can't not be like Hazel can't not be sick. There's no. And in some ways, because she's been sick for so long, she's never been able to imagine adolescence any other way than being sort of, inherently ostracized and feeling other. But pretty much every teenager feels that way. Pretty much every teenager feels ostracized, feels other, and feels like they can't not be whatever it is that they are that they wish they weren't. And so, I mean,
there's too many negatives.
Sorry, yeah, well, I'm not a novelist. And so in some ways, it's a universal experience. It's just that the particular otherness that they're dealing with is, you know, likely to shorten her life or make her life shorter than other people's, than our sort of expectation of what a life should be.
Now, one thing that's interesting is the characters. You have this. There's one kind of character in fiction that has a disease that wants to just be treated like everyone else.
Yeah.
And to a certain extent, they do, but they're real characters in that they understand there's no way that that's possible.
Yeah, it's not possible. I mean, particularly because there's for both of them, there's physical manifestations of their diseases that you see and that you know about and that you can't get rid of. And I think most sick people are conscious of the fact that while they would like to live in a world in which they aren't sick, they don't. And that other people are going to be conscious of their sickness. Now, the challenge that both sick and well people face is to overcome that in the same way that, like, you know, like you're able to look at me and talk to me even though I'm hideously ugly. Like, you have to be able to overcome. I can see it in your eyes. How difficult it is.
I should have worn my glasses. There are several times in the book in which I think different characters, I know Hazel does, kind of rails against the cancer fiction genre and certain cliches in it.
Yeah.
And I would assume that while the book isn't, the characters aren't you, that there's a part of that that's definitely you.
Yeah.
A revulsion to that.
I mean, I don't really buy into the conventions of the cancer book genre.
Which are?
Which are that there's this sad-eyed, wiser than her years child who suffers heroically and without complaint and then dies in such a way that both her death and her life are transcendent. I worked at a children's hospital as a student chaplain for about 5 months, and I knew a lot of sick kids, and none of them, you know, like had the secret of the meaning of life hidden deep behind their pupils.
Sure,
you know?
sure.
They were just people. And so I don't buy into that. And I also don't buy into the idea that, you know, illness does give you some insights maybe, but they're insights that can be won more cheaply.
Sure.
You know, I mean, I've always felt that way, like, not to compare my gallbladder surgery with cancer.
I knew we'd start talking about your GI problems like 5 minutes in, and it was 3 minutes in.
Sorry, I can't help myself.
Yeah. How is your stomach?
It's all right,
Yeah.
but like the process of like suffering through what turned out to be a diseased gallbladder. Like, I'm sure I learned something, but I would have rather learned it elsewhere.
Yeah, like in a book or
right. Like I could have just read about
a
someone
math set or something like that.
Yeah, right.
Well, you also, there's a line in the book, you know, without pain there can't be joy, and that's crap.
Yeah, Hazel sees that like written above Gus's parents' mantle, and then she responds by meditating on the fact that the taste of broccoli does not affect the taste of chocolate.
Or weather. I always think, you know, people say, if you moved to Los Angeles, you'd hate it because you wouldn't appreciate the warm weather, and that's not true.
No, that's not true at all. They're all...
I'd appreciate it every day.
Yeah, because every day you wake up and you're like, am I going to wear a shirt today? I don't know. Whereas like here, 8 months out of the year, we're like, gonna wear a shirt.
Well, let's talk about where you live, and we'll get back to the book. And the book takes place actually where you live in Indianapolis. You take some shots at Indianapolis in the book.
Oh, I don't know about that.
You say that there's no culture.
I do.
That's.
You know what?
Doesn't your wife work at the art museum in Indianapolis?
She does work at the art museum. You know, the thing that I say that's really cruel is Gus asks Hazel, what is Indianapolis lacking? And Hazel responds, skinny adults. That's a bit of a shot, I guess.
There were some shots.
And I do say it's the 137th nicest city in America. But I have a great love for it. I mean, look, when you grow up in a place, obviously you're going to see nothing but its flaws,
right,
and your sort of desire to get out and your wish to live in some place romantic like Amsterdam. But having lived in both Indianapolis and Amsterdam, I can report to you that I genuinely would rather live in Indianapolis. Yeah. I mean, despite the availability of drugs and Trinidadian morbidly obese prostitutes.
Sure.
Like, and I should say it's not just Trinidadian. I mean, it's a worldwide phenomenon. I don't mean to single out
people come from all over.
I don't want to single out one small Caribbean country when it's, you know,
it's all the Caribbean
from everywhere,
countries.
every gender, every sex, intersex people. I don't want to, all human beings can and do work as prostitutes in Amsterdam. So, but
Was that what your grant was for? When you got-
yes, I had to sleep with all of them. Bazer. It wasn't easy. I only had 2 months.
I look forward to the next book.
But what I love about Indianapolis is its humility and its lack of intellectual pretension. And there are a lot of really talented people there. And this is like Chicago too. They're talented and they're working hard. Whereas you've spent a lot of time in New York, so you know this. Like in New York, you always sort of look at people and you're like, well, but what do you do?
Right, yeah.
You know. So I love that.
Here it's like, what do you have to eat? Yeah. But they do. Augustus and Hazel go on an adventure.
Yeah.
They go to Amsterdam, and I don't want to give too much away, but one of the reasons why they go is because there is this book which is about a young woman with cancer, and they are, especially Hazel, is just bothered deeply by the fact that she doesn't know what happened to all the other characters in the book when it's done.
Yeah.
And I was just, to me, on the one hand, that's a very human reaction, but it's also an immature reaction when it comes to a novel. And I imagine that you have got emails and letters.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, that say, what happened to this character? Yeah. And I wanted your take on it because I can see you being annoyed, but I can also see you also thinking about it. No?
No.
Not at all?
Just annoyed.
Yeah.
Well, not annoyed, but I agree with you that it's like not. On the one hand, it's not a mature reaction to reading a novel. On the other hand, I don't really want mature reactions to reading a novel necessarily. Like, I don't want to have readers who finish Gatsby and like, nod and give it the thumbs up, you know? Like, I want to have people who are deeply emotionally involved in the story in the way that I am when I read Gatsby. Like, I guess I have an immature reaction to Gatsby because I want to know what happens to Meyer Wolfsheim, and I want to know what becomes of everybody after Nick goes back to the Middle West and whatnot. But and so I have that experience as a reader, but then as a novelist, you do have that. Whenever a couple of my books have very ambiguous endings, and so I get those questions over and over and over again. And the answer that I don't give because I'm not a dick, but I want to give on some level, like
because you are a dick.
Exactly. The dick inside of me, if you will.
I've got a dick inside of me too.
Can we take that out of the YouTube part of it?
All right, keep going.
I gotta wait for them to stop laughing. It's gonna be like 10 minutes. It's gonna be the rest of the thing. There is a person inside of me who wants to say, like, who cares what happened to them? Like, nothing happened to them. The book ended is what happened to them. It's a novel. Right. It's made of words, and the words stopped. And I chose to stop them where I did for a reason. And if you don't like it, read a different novel, or write your own sequel.
Right.
You know?
Well, there is is there fan fiction of your books?
There is, yeah, which I'm obsessed with. I mean, I read it obsessively.
Do you really?
Yeah, I'm really, really into it.
Do you ever read the Back to the Future fan fiction?
No,
it's pretty good.
Outside.
It's good.
Is it good?
Yeah.
Yeah. My favorite stuff is the really, really aggressively sexual stuff, like the. It's a genre. I don't know much about fan fiction, but there is a genre of erotic fan fiction, essentially. And I mean, when people like put two of my characters from like different novels together and just have them like,
it's
fascinating.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that never crossed my mind.
Let's get serious for a second. I want to quote something from the book because it seems to be something that struck me as being present in if not all of your books, most of them, and that's Hazel quotes Prufrock. Is that how you pronounce the poem?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I read it. I don't talk about it.
We have lingered in the chambers of the sea by sea girls wreathed with seaweed red and brown till human voices wake us and we drown. To which Augustus says, "Stupid human voices always ruining everything." And it seems like every close relationship in life, with your wife, or me with my wife, that's a private world. But it seems like in your books, characters, maybe because of the age, are really seeking to have these private worlds with somebody else. Would you agree with that assessment?
Yeah, but I mean, I think we all are. Like, I think we're all trying to construct these private worlds, and there is, as you know from your relation or from your relationship with your wife.
We both have a relationship with our wives.
With each other's wives, yeah. As I know from my relationship with Gina, when you can construct. when you can construct that private world with someone and like the husband doesn't know and other people don't know, it's really fulfilling. No, but seriously, it is. Like, there's something tremendously fulfilling about being able to construct a truly private world in which you have your relationship with the people that you love is intense and personal and complete. And that sense of a complete love, of a holistic love, is something that I think teenagers are after, but also probably the rest of us.
There's at one point where it's the father of either Hazel or Augustus who says, your true love, it's real. It's not puppy love. And the inclination from adults often is to not take teenage love seriously. How do you negotiate that? How do you negotiate whether these characters are really, truly in love?
I mean, teenagers, like, adults don't take teenage love seriously, but I always, the way I think of it is whenever, like, say you've been married for 20 years and then you get a divorce and you come to me and you're like, oh, I got
As
a divorce.
people do when they're...
They call me up. And, like, I was married for 20 years and I got a divorce. And then, I mean, I could easily say, like, you'll get over it. But, like, yeah, maybe, you probably will, but like that doesn't mean that it's not real.
Sure.
And I remember when my college girlfriend broke up with me. Shannon's laughing. My best friend's here, and she was there many times. She's laughing because my college girlfriend broke up with me 13 times. So she's like, which one? But like when we finally broke up, I remember like calling my mom in tears, and I'd been like on the floor of my apartment for a day and a half and had nothing to eat or drink except for this one warm 2-liter bottle of Sprite. And my mom said, "You're going to look back on this and it's going to be the best thing that ever happened to you." And I was like, well, maybe, but not now.
Right.
So like, I don't care what future me thinks of this. Yeah. Because I don't get to be future me yet. Well,
Was it the best thing?
Yeah, like top 5.
Well, let's talk about some non-book things. So, kind of book things, but in the past 6 years, obviously, your readership has grown. What has that allowed you? Has it allowed you the freedom to do things that you always wanted to do that you couldn't do? Pilates? I don't know.
I mean, the main thing that it's allowed me to do is to publish books when I want to publish them, and to not have to worry about publishing books on a schedule. I mean, it's been almost 4 years since my last solo written book came out, and that's possible partially because of YouTube and partially because I have a broader audience, and so they're still buying the old books, so I can make my 60 cents from
for
that.
the book.
Yeah.
And you've got a son now.
Yeah.
So tell me about him.
Yeah, his name's Henry. He's almost 2. He turns 2 while I'm on tour, actually. Wow. Yeah. The great thing about being 2 is that we can just like have a birthday party for him when I get back, and then like doctor all the photos, so he never has to know.
Have him holding up a newspaper from.
Photoshop it in, on January 20th, Mitt Romney, God willing, lost the South Carolina caucus to Rick Santorum, who's on a road to the nomination.
What are the politics in Indianapolis?
I mean, I'm heavily pro Santorum, but not the politician. I will, like, the first week I moved there, there was this progressive dinner party in our neighborhood, and George W. Bush was president. His approval rating was like 4%.
Progressive, not political progressive, but everybody.
No, like a thing where you go from house to house, right? So I made. Because I just
where
moved,
liberals go house to house feeding.
Yes, feeding on conservative entrails. Yes. So I made a joke. I made a joke about how George W. Bush was a bad president, which to me is safer than any other joke you can possibly make. Sure. And just silence.
Really?
Yeah, and I was like, really, really, 2007, really, 2007, really?
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then you got, lastly, you got this video game. Tell me about this. This Swindly Poops or something. What is this?
The Swindon Town Swoodly Poopers.
Yeah.
I play FIFA. This is going to sound very strange to those of you who don't know anything about me, but I play a video game, and I record the video game, and I talk over it about generally like maybe about like the Greek economy or why the gold standard is a bad idea or whatever. And that was met with silence. Are there a bunch of Ron Paul people here? It's awkward. So I talk about that, and I also talk about this fictional team that I've created, and then I upload the video, and lots of people watch 12 minutes of me playing soccer. But you're only watching these video game people. But I've created this fictional team, and the two forwards are both named John Green, and they're married to each other, and.
Is this where your love of Santorum comes in?
Yes, yeah. Right. And the center back, his name is Fitz Hall, but his nickname is One Size Fitz Hall. And there are all kinds of other players and lots of songs about all the players. So whenever any of them score, there's a song associated with their name. And you know where it's become a big deal? So I play as the Swindon Town, which is a League Two club, but now we're up in the Premier League. It's become a really big deal in Swindon.
Really?
Yeah, and the owner of the actual Swindon Town team is a big fan of the video games, and he comments on every video.
No way.
And his comment is always like, I wish more of you guys would come to our games.
More people are watching your fake games. So you won, though. You won the championship?
We won the FA Cup in penalties against Chelsea, and I have Mark.
Congratulations.
You know how stressed out I am. You know how stressed out I am about this book coming out, and
sure.
and everything. And it's like the week before I played the FA Cup final. It's all I dreamt about. It's all I thought about. I imagined every way that one John Green or the other John Green, they're bald John Green and other John Green, as we call them, that one way or the, like who was going to score. And then in the end, we won on penalties. A player named Perry Perry, do you watch Phineas and Ferb?
My son does.
Well,
I just sleep while he's watching.
Yeah, okay.
So
anyway, there's Perry the platypus. So
I know that.
We say he's a platypus.
Okay.
Whenever he scores, and he scored the winning penalty kick. I fucking cried, Mark. Yeah. I literally cried. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I was crying.
Well, John, congratulations on the game. and also the book. And you got a tour coming up.
Yeah, we're going on tour starting on Monday, so I'm actually going to drive home tonight so I can wake up with the baby in the morning. A couple more nights of that, and then tour.
Sounds good. Well, thanks for coming on.
Thanks.
John Green, everyone.